This is a clip from our documentary, Ruckus. The full movie is available for free on this platform. Just click the link in the description to watch the full thing.
The office of Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Thank you so much
Congresswoman, none of this matters unless there's a nuclear war, which you voted to send arms and weapons to Ukraine. Tulsi Gabbard, she's left the Democratic Party because they're running for us. Okay? You originally voted, you ran as an outsider.
The day of the AOC intervention was just like any other day. We didn't think it was going to be some big thing that it is now. We didn't think it was going to be the biggest inflection point in American history that hopefully inspired other people to do it. But basically, that day, we were like, okay, it was me and Kynan and a third friend who will remain nameless because he wants to be nameless. The third friend didn't even want to intervene. He just wanted to be the cameraman. So that's why and he was a very good cameraman, as people could see in the intervention.
You're voting to start this war in Ukraine. You're voting to start nuclear war in Russia and China.
But that day, we weren't thinking, okay, you're gonna yell and then I'm gonna, we were thinking, okay, Kynan, if you get the mic first, then you gotta say blah, 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 blah. And then if I get the mic after, we say da, 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 da. Then when we walked into the place, oh, here's a note card, write your question down, and then we'll make sure the Congresswoman gets it. And so when we finally sat down and Kynan and I sat apart from each other, we were like, oh my fucking God, we're not gonna be able to get hurt, are we? We're gonna have to stand up, right? And so I had just did the Bowman intervention, and that went pretty viral too. It was played on Jimmy Dore, and so he, you know, Kynan was feeling a little like, oh, I want the spotlight too. So I was like, go ahead, brother, you go first.
Why are you playing with the lives of American citizens? You're playing with our lives.
Tulsi Gabbard's a Russian plant.
At the time, Tulsi Gabbard had just left the Democratic Party. And I get a lot of shit for mentioning that, like, oh, you shouldn't have mentioned Tulsi. But, you know, I believe in talking to anybody from any point of view.
I'm not asking you to respect me. I'm not asking anybody. All right, y'all, I'm not asking anybody here to respect me. I'm asking you to respect your neighbors.
Kynan went off, and he got dragged away. And then I went off. Kynan and I walked out with doubts, like, should we have done it that way? Is this gonna look okay? Is this gonna be okay? Like, and I was really scared because I was on my way home on the train thinking like, oh, this isn't what we wanted to do, you know. We were hoping we could have just asked her a question or something, and we thought maybe we came off too mean or aggressive. So I posted and I said it, and then like, yeah, I see you get like 100 views and 1,000 views and then 10,000 views. And I called Kynan, I'm like, hey man, this thing has 10,000 views. Why not right now? You're the liar here.
Okay, so those are actual progressives. Now, there's no doubt that on virtually any other issue, we wouldn't agree with them. Don't know what their beliefs are, probably don't intersect with ours. But on this specific issue, which does matter, they're absolutely right.
Let your conscience come through for once.
I will get to your issue. I'm not even ignoring what you have to say. I'm not even ignoring what you have to say. What I'm saying
So you heard what I had to say.
is that what I'm asking is that you respect all these people who are sitting here and have been waiting, and you're standing up and thinking
Just a yes or no question.
And I know you may think. I know you may
It's that
think.
simple. Are you
Sir.
against nuclear war or not?
Of course I'm a comic book.
At that time, I went to sleep. I wake up, it had 1 million views. And like 1 million views at the time felt like, oh my God, like we hit the jackpot, you know? Now, if I post an intervention and it doesn't get at least 100,000 views, I'm like, wow, it's a fucking bust.
You guys are some of the most famous guys we've ever spoken to now. Believe it or not.
Maybe
You guys are like the biggest celebs we've ever had.
I was just completely blown away at like the reaction. And then it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And then Jesse Waters covered it on his show on Fox News. And then he had Tulsi Gabbard come on the show.
I don't know what happened to her or what she believes in.
And I was like, what? And Tulsi Gabbard was like, I want to thank those boys for being brave and being sincere in their, you know, anti-war efforts.
I hope everyone was paying attention to what those two young men were saying and paying attention to the pain and the anguish and the fear and the concern that they were expressing.
Come on, right? I didn't think I could have that kind of effect. And then Tucker Carlson did it. I was like, oh shit, that's like the most viewed, you know, conservative news source, everything, right?
Her response? You are being rude. Oh, you're being rude now. Says the very same Sandy Cortez who instructed activists to terrorize their political opponents. Quote, the whole point of protesting is to make people uncomfortable. Oh, is that right? So they were kind of following your instructions, weren't they?
Honestly, I was very happy to see the unity between the disgruntled left. So people who were upset with the Democratic Party, who may have left the Democratic Party, people who maybe were like, I'm on the left, I think we should have like a socialist-like government. You know, we thought AOC was the real deal and we're not. Agreeing with people who were conservatives, you know, for a moment there was this beautiful window. Everybody was saying the same thing. This intervention was legit and it was good.
So how did you feel about AOC's dismissive reaction to your intervention, claiming you're not really anti-war, that you're in a cult?
I think the fact that she had to respond at all showed that we really kicked her ass on that, because the best PR strategy in anything is ignore and let it go. And if they can ignore it, well, that means we had a real breakthrough on something.
AOC was asked about this, and she gave the following response. Could you speak on being confronted by anti-war protesters? She says, sure. They were actually not anti-war protesters. They were right-wing Trumpers, and some were LaRouche cult members, not progressives as they claimed. Their own social media history shows this.
So now they got to send the pro-war shit-lib army out to defend AOC and smear the activists. You guys think I was making this up? So this is Mehdi Hassan. This is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
What?
Screaming hysterically about opposing war while praising Tulsi Gabbard, avoiding any mention of Putin, and blaming AOC.
It was a stunt that they do from time to time. Last time they showed up to a town hall yelling about eating babies or something. It's a thing they do to go viral and draw in people.
One protester accused AOC of voting to start this war in Ukraine. So this is Mehdi going after you. You gotta know who else have chimed in since
Now, wait,
I
before you go
logged
to
off.
AOC's tweet though, just like
I
I've
hear
heard
this.
of Mehdi's name. Who is he?
He's the new like big
He's a
name in
piece
media.
of. Oh, let me not say that. Let me not say that.
Like he's a big
Let me
MSNBC guy.
A lot of these right-wing video and social media stunts are predicated on people not knowing the context and just believing whatever the person is saying for face value. For example, in the video, they cut out the part where they waited to yell until a deaf constituent was trying to ask a question so it would look like everyone was mad at their words instead of the fact that they were harming a person with a disability.
She initially tried to dismiss it by saying that I was speaking over a deaf constituent, or that Kynan was speaking over a deaf constituent, which, total lie, by the way. People can just go back to the live stream and see they were reading a question that came in via email from a deaf constituent.
If you don't believe me, just go into her town hall that she live streamed, go to about like 49 minutes or so. The assistant who's reading the question says, we just got an email that came in from a deaf constituent.
So the next question we received was via email. How can you empower our deaf, disabled, BIPOC youth community to get more involved in government? Okay, thank you. So we received this question via email, and I think it's very important. I want us to restate that question because even the way that it was submitted is important for us to understand. This question was emailed to us. It was emailed to us. If you haven't noticed, this right here is our live streaming phone.
And then that's at the point where we start the intervention.
So our question, Angela, was the question, how do we get young people with disabilities to become more engaged?
You see how she's using that? Who is AOC? You see how she's using that? You see how she's twisting that? And we want to act like this person is going to fight for the working class?
Can we repeat that question? I'm sorry, Angela. Just people keep yelling over our neighbor with a disability. I want to make sure that they are heard. So the question was, how can you empower our deaf, disabled, BIPOC youth community to get more involved in government?
Honestly, I don't even know if she really meant that defense, because when I did the intervention, we had a conference a couple days later, and I was asked to speak on like the motivation behind it and what I thought AOC's reaction was. My point is that when Kynan and I stood up and yelled at AOC, she didn't see us. She saw the ghost of her former self. She saw somebody, herself, with that same fiery passion and spirit that she once had. She saw that in us, so she saw herself in us. And that's what really freaked her out. That's what really messed with her conscience. Because when you're in that kind of position of power in the Democratic Party, could be also Republican Party, you have to make moral concessions. Okay, I have to put aside my moral compass because if I want to get something done in Congress, I have to play their game. As Jamal Bowman put it recently, I'm playing the long game. AOC's playing the long game too. And I'm sure if she heard this, she would say, I don't know what I'm talking about because I don't know how things work on Capitol Hill. You know, things aren't as great as I'd like them to be. You have to do this and that. You have to work with this person and that person in order to get what you want. But there was once a time when AOC was saying, I don't care if I'm a one-term congressman. You have to cause a ruckus. And I think what freaked her out is that she was on the other side of that. And that's what happened. And that's what she saw. And that's why she was forced to respond, because she had to make it make sense in her own mind to justify what she's doing right now, which is voting for arms and weapons to Ukraine, funding this proxy war, funding Azov Battalion. It's the only way she can live with herself.
Please clap.